Welcome. So you are here because you are struggling with coming up with a question for your inquiry project. And this is the toughest job for this whole project. Once you get the right question, everything, and you actually have data for that question, everything else is very smooth. Comes out real nice. So don't feel bad if you can't come up with something right off the bat. It could take you up to half the time just thinking of something. So I'm going to try to help you out with the thought process. It's a little bit overwhelming because there's so much data. It's hard to figure out. And then of course you're 8th grader, so it makes it, you're not aware of what is available. And what I first recommend is that you don't just sit there at your table and just ponder it. I can't function that way. I have to actually be looking at information because that'll give me ideas that I wasn't even aware of. So that's the first thing. Don't just sit there and think an idea is going to come into your head. It probably won't. You're going to need to explore ideas. So you have to come up with a topic. The best topic, of course, would be one that's measurable. So ask yourself something that you're interested in. Like in my example that I gave in the other video on, I had earthquakes. That's a topic. And what do you measure with earthquakes? What's actually measured about earthquakes? Well, the frequency that they happen and the size on the Richter scale, location where they occur. So we want to verify, can I actually find these things? And as you saw in the other video, yeah, you can go to the USGS and it'll tell you those things. So what could I ask about that? What might affect frequency of earthquakes or their size and where they're located? And you just want to ask yourself a personal question. How do you answer, I've got someone at my door trying to get in. So let me flip this other screen over here. I did the same thing just before I started this video. I asked myself, try to come up with a topic that had data associated with it. So I thought, well, classroom size. So I verified that there's actually data on classroom size. So I went to this web page, didn't know it existed. I just typed in, average classroom size for states. I got this. Here are all the states. I got their average classroom size for middle school, high school, and I asked myself, well, what might be affected by the size of a classroom? There's lots of students in there. What's the consequence of that? And I thought, well, the obvious one is probably like test scores. So I thought, well, can I get test scores for all these different states? So I looked for a little bit, not there. I looked here, and I found, yes, I can actually get national test scores for every state. So I could compare whether or not the class size does affect how well students perform on, I think this is a math test. Yeah, mathematics. So that would be a good project. So that's one way to look at this. Try to figure out some topic that's measurable. And then I went, well, let's give you a couple more examples. And so I thought of lifespan of animals. I thought first of all, just animals. What is measured? What about animals is measured? And I thought, well, lifespan is measured. So I thought, well, can I find data on the lifespan of animals? So I looked this up, and sure enough, I got a big list of lots and lots of animals and their lifespan. So again, I asked the question, what might living a long time, what might that affect? If I have a short lifespan or a long lifespan, what might that affect? And actually, while I was toying through this, there was actually a question at the top here. It says, big things live forever, and a big question mark. Do things that do larger animals live longer? So we got their lifespans. We just need to know the size of these different organisms, which we could probably look up. Let's go ahead and do that, like a bat. Size, maybe a size. I could go through individually. Size of bat or average, and just one at a time. Okay, so maybe I don't want size, maybe I want mass. Or we could do size, how tall they are, but I just do mass, probably might be better. So we got a little variety here from ounces to pounds. But I certainly can get the data. I'm overwhelmed with the data of all different kinds of bats, all different sizes here. I know I can get the mass of different, probably most of these organisms. So I could do that. I could see whether or not the lifespan is affected by how big they are. Or, excuse me, probably the way around, I should have said that, how if they're the size of the animal affects how long they live. So that's just me coming up with a topic and then asking myself, what is measurable about that topic? Pick something that you enjoy or you are interested in. And let's do one more for you. I also looked up, just some idea came to my head, and I thought I didn't want to do typical topics, which you're more than welcome to do. Meteorology, physics topics, chemistry topics, things like that. That's fine. Matter of fact, I just had another idea. The periodic table itself probably has about 50 different relationships that you could probably try to find or tease out. But so I want to do a little more obscure things or a little more unusual ideas. So I thought about the most wealthiest people, and I got this list. And I wondered whether or not these folks actually went to college. Does going to college contribute to making a lot of money? Or is there not any relationship? So I first looked up again. I wanted to see if I could get a list. But I was pretty certain I could get a list of the top 100 most wealthiest people on the planet. Whether or not I can actually look up individually where they went to college might be another story, but we could try one here. Jeff Bezos, college degree. Let's try that. So it looks like you went to Princeton University. All right. So I could look these up individually, and I could find out whether or not they went to college, and I could see, that would be my question. How much does college actually contribute to success? And I could maybe get 20 of these, the top 20, and see how many of them actually went to college, and see if there's any. If they all go to college, half of them, almost none of them. I can find that out. All right. So I hope that helps. I'll just repeat really quick here. Come with a topic that you like. Ask yourself what kind of data. See as you're asking yourself what kind of data is available, that might force you to narrow the topic down. So if you're doing like planets, or say you did astronomy. I like astronomy. That's pretty broad. What within astronomy is actually measurable? What kind of things are within astronomy? Well, you could do stars and planets and so forth. Well, let's say you pick planets. What kind of things are measurable about the planets? You're thinking there, I don't know. Well, look up planetary data or something and see what's available. And say, oh yeah, they got the size, they got the density, they got the rotation rates, inclinations, and so on and so forth. And you pick one of those, and maybe you say density, and you go, okay, well, what might affect the density of the planets or whatever? So try to latch onto a variable and then see what that might affect or be affected by. That'll be your other variable you're after, and go see if that's available. And then you'll come to me and you'll say, hey, Mr. Brower, here's what I came up with. What do you think? And I'll say, hopefully 2 thumbs up, and you'll be ready to go. All right, that is it. So go ahead and enjoy finding a topic and a good hypothesis for your inquiry project.